Okay, good evening, folks. Let's call the planning board, Leominster Planning Board to order, November 4th, 2024, 6:30. Okay, open public meeting for a site plan application for 508 Main Street, map 232, parcel 9, commercial office building. I have a
Alright.
representative here.
You have in front of you an email dated October 30th from the engineer requesting a continuance to the next meeting in November because their meeting with conservation isn't until November 12th and they want to wait till after that.
I move to table this until November 18th
November
at
18th,
6:30?
6:30 is open.
November 18th.
At 6:30.
Could have did the same thing for the next one.
Second.
Can we do
Okay.
one motion to do the next one as well, or do we?
You might as well,
You have to make
yeah,
a
just a minute.
So the motion would be to move both hearings, 6:30 and 6:31, as they are now.
I have, first I'll do the first one first. I have a motion made and second to move the open public meeting to November 18th at 6:30.
That's a good start.
Any
I
discussion?
won't be here on the 18th.
All in favor, say aye.
I
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
now move to do the open public hearing for a special permit of floodplain at 6:31 on November 18th.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded for November, continuous to November 18th at 6:31. Any discussion? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
I
I
make
got
a,
5 minutes.
can I make a motion to go to the regular meeting to save
Yep, second.
Yep,
3 minutes?
okay, I have a motion made and seconded to go to the go to the regular meeting. Call to order.
Patrick Perla, excused. Paul Weiser.
Here.
Sal Chaconi.
Here.
Carol Vittorioso.
Here.
Tom Kerrigan.
Here.
Jason Parre.
Here.
Dean Valier.
Here.
John Souza.
Here. Minutes of previous meeting, September 16, 2024.
Hopefully
Get 'em in your packet.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Seconded?
I have a motion made and seconded to accept the minutes as mailed. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Plan submitted, none. Okay. 4.1 is continued.
4.2 is
4.2 is continued.
4. Can we move to communications?
Yeah.
We have another item under new business.
Okay.
City council petition.
We can't do that because it's a hearing.
Oh, to
It's a
hear. I'm
hearing.
sorry, I apologize.
Okay.
6.1.
I gotta go to communications. Okay, communication 6.1.
What about five?
Modification of site plan application 259 and 273 Lancaster Street, map 484, parcels 10 and 11. Battery energy storage system. Board to vote to whether to deem as major or minor modification. If this is a major modification, the board will schedule it for open meeting at a future date. If it is a minor modification, we'll go forward at 411.
The only
Okay.
real question from the comments is whether they're gonna keep the bollards that were agreed to before. Can we get
Yeah,
the answer to
the police covered that it was.
Then, to me, it's a minor modification. It's just changing from the
Yeah.
latest to the newest.
Do we have a representative? Let's, listen.
Can I stand?
You can
Yeah.
stand, we also, I don't know if we have a, do you have a laptop?
I do, but,
If you
don't need
want,
another
we
thing.
can put it on the TV.
You've got to actually print out
Yeah,
that
that's-
self.
Okay, that's,
Okay, that'd be
print out
good.
the old fashioned way works too.
We can do it either way, but, yeah, so, helpful if I give a bit of
Yeah, why
background.
don't you put it up here on the board?
And for the record, this
can see it.
So I'm Eric Weinstein at New Leaf Energy, we've got Connor Glaude at New Leaf Energy as well, I'm a project developer here and civil engineer.
Could pull it so people can see it.
I'm not sure you're killing it, it's gonna fall apart. That's sarcastic.
If we need to.
It's gonna fall apart. No, it's broken.
I broke it?
No, it's probably broken.
There you go.
It's okay.
We have faulty equipment now, I'm sorry, I
Put it up on the TV
apologize.
if we need to as well. We're here to request two things, so one being an extension to the permit that we had approved in December of 2022 for a battery energy storage system, as well as request for a minor modification to that system. So back when we were in front of the planning board in 2022, we had submitted an interconnection application actually in February of 2022. That process usually takes 12 to 18 months to roll through your application process and then the study process that the utility, National Grid in this case, conducts. That's usually 12 to 18 months. Here we are now in November of 2024. Obviously, a bit longer than that. We see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not through the interconnection process at this point. The system impact study, which is the regional, the local study of the project, is just about complete. The regional study, which is called an ASO study, is also just about complete. We're anticipating that's going to be wrapping up probably at the end of the year. But that's going to be putting us pretty much on track for about 2.5 years as opposed to 12 to 18 months. So that's really the guiding factor of why we needed an extension to the permit. So we're requesting a 2-year extension to that permit. And then, in terms of what's happened over the last couple of years here, technology continues to advance. So what we brought to you 2 years ago, battery technology continues to improve. So really we've seen a few different improvements over that duration, mainly in form factor of the battery systems, all the same safety and requirements we've talked about in the past and have been shared with the fire chief. The actual square footage of what we're showing now is now smaller. That also reduces the size of the perimeter wall. So I think both beneficial aspects of needing to wait out this utility process. And I heard a question earlier about bollards. I know that, so landscaping and bollards were something the mayor had indicated a couple of years back were important. The bollards are the same, 5 feet between them on center. The landscaping is all exactly the same, and we think it would look better actually than what was previously shown, given the wall height is now reduced.
Is the capacity the same, or?
Capacity is also reduced, and that is to align with the feedback we've received from National Grid in terms of the electrical study, and that's partly what's helped us reduce the actual system size, the physical footprint as well.
Okay.
I'm satisfied it's a minor modification.
And the other thing that I had, there was a question from the Board of Health was on the, any noise, is there any change to that?
So there's actually a reduction, and that's
On the
actually,
rectifiers?
that's why the wall can come down some. So it's a
Okay.
benefit of switching the vendor, the two things that have happened over the last 2 years are basically energy storage has gotten denser and it's gotten quieter. So you're seeing the benefits of both of those.
Okay. Oh, good. Good, yeah. And the landscaping is the same?
Same landscaping.
Yeah.
Snow removal is the same too, right?
Yep, it's all there.
Yeah.
I make a motion
Call that
to
in the plan.
consider this a
Yeah.
minor modification
Sec-
and grant the extension.
Second.
I have a, I have to do two votes.
Okay.
Yes.
So first, a minor modification.
6.1.
Okay. 6.1, on the minor modification, I have a motion made and seconded that it is in fact a minor modification. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No?
And I think we have
Yes.
to,
And now
Okay, and
make a
it-
motion to grant the extension.
The
Six-
extensions
How
for the
long?
special permit. Yep,
Yep,
Special
6.2.
permit.
How long is the extension?
2 years.
2 years. That gives you enough time.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
it worked out in the end, we ended up with a better product.
Yeah, that's good.
yeah,
Big second, Carol?
so I have a
Second.
motion made and say,
For 2 years?
are we extending it to a date? Or just 2
It
years
would
from
be-
what
2
date?
years would be from
They'll
today.
have 2 years to act.
2 years from today?
It's 2 years from when the decision was stamped in, so it's 12/21/2022 it was stamped in, so it'll be
2
2
years
years
from
from there.
Okay,
Did they have to send you a letter for that?
Well, wait a
as well?
minute.
It's on.
Oh,
So
That
two-
only
it's-
brings it to 2
That only
years
brings
from
it-
2022?
No,
20,
to 24.
Oh, wait, hold on.
from now, 2 years from now.
When was it?
Shouldn't it be
It
2
should be
years from now?
December of 2022, so it'd be
December of
2 years.
24, so you get 2 years after that.
Yeah,
So go to 26.
Okay.
December.
Okay.
26, that's why I want to get
2
the
years from
December.
dates
2
straight.
years.
Oh,
December
okay, 2 years from
26.
December 21st.
I'd rather have the
2021.
actual date
Yeah.
Okay,
in the motion,
okay.
so extend it to December 26,
December of
That
2026.
works.
Yeah,
yeah, 2026,
Okay.
okay?
okay.
So the motion is made and seconded to extend, the extension to December of 2026. Okay? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion
And then we
carries.
need a motion to approve the,
Special permit.
we need a motion to approve, well, we need a motion to approve
The
the,
minor
the
modification.
minor modification, which is my motion.
You made a motion.
You made a motion to
declare it a minor
To
modification.
declare it a
Oh,
minor
oh,
modification.
Now we got it
Second.
back.
Yeah.
Done.
Sometimes I get screwed up on these. Okay, there's a motion made and seconded to accept the minor modification. Any
As
discussion?
presented.
Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion
And then I
carries.
make a motion to accept the, to approve the special permit on the modification.
Okay,
Second.
and we have a motion to accept the special permit on the minor modification. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. I think we get you all covered.
Thank you very much. That was quick.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Do you want to keep this, take it away from me?
You can take that.
Again,
We don't keep them.
Yeah, take a walk with your two.
Yeah, the board is broke. We'll have to go to the city council for a new board. They'll
We
take
better
3
find the
months.
rest of the
Get a
chairs
raise,
first.
we just want a new board.
Thank you very much.
We'll go back to,
No, okay,
It's not on the ground.
I know.
we'll go to, see, look at
6:35.
Carol to straighten it out for you two guys.
Uh-oh.
There goes the flag, whoa!
I got the flag.
wait, now I'm gonna be,
Uh-oh,
It's gonna be,
I'm gonna call in the National Guard.
I know,
You gotta go bring that flag
we're
somewhere.
gonna push it forward.
Thanks.
Which way should this go? Go towards Paul, go towards Paul.
that's better.
Yeah, call in
We're
there.
gonna let him out.
Oh, yep. Why?
Who you calling the flag hits the ground?
Yeah, it's just like.
Boy Scout.
It's gonna fall on Sal.
Boy Scouts don't
We've
cut up.
got to do
Okay,
It usually does.
I think it was on TV.
6:35.
Okay.
Let's go.
See, open public hearing, proposed subdivision amendment, planning board can have a registered engineer they're choosing for the estimates.
All right, this came in front of you before, now it's a public hearing. This is just to make our ordinances clear that when we have outside, estimates, when we get estimates done, that we are able to hire a professional registered engineer of the board's choosing. And there's several places in the subdivision regs where this is in front of you in your packet. Dated November 4th, there's a excerpt from the subdivision regulations, and in red, each time there's, I believe it's 3 times it's listed, where it used to be the Department of Public Works, now it's the Department of Public Works and the professional engineer of the board's choosing.
Yeah, the primary reason for this was when we were going just to the DPW, and primarily they would look at the road surfaces and that, and the surge lines. But all the getting the documentation done or surveys completed that were never in their quotes. So by having this change, we'll have a professional engineer look at it and get
Is
the,
it gonna be the same one every time?
Well,
No.
it doesn't have to be. The board has chosen to go with one for traffic studies,
Okay.
but
we can quote
we can get quotes. And
different
But we
guys.
can just go directly to
We'll
them?
get a list of 5 that we use.
Right,
Yeah.
No changes.
yeah.
Not that we will.
Who pays for it?
It's paid for by the developer.
escrow account is paid for by the applicant.
What is the Board of Public Works? We have a Board of Public Works?
Department of Public Works.
Department,
It was just the way it was worded in there.
Full typo.
okay. So this way we can bring somebody in and get the, all the proper documentation completed and have it included in the cost. And that's primarily what's been happening to us, is we would get an estimate to finish the road, but not to finish the sidewalks or final drawings and things like that.
So do we have a fee that you got in mind to charge?
No,
No, we
very,
get estimates from
all depends on the
engineers,
size
and
of the
then
subdivision,
And then
so.
you pick by estimate?
the board decides which one to use based on what services are offered and the estimate. You've done it many times.
No, understood, I just want to make sure.
We've been doing it, it just, the ordinance, the regulations didn't clearly spell out.
Yep. And those are the only changes, the changes in red, that's it.
That's it.
That's it,
Thanks.
okay?
Yep.
Any discussion on that? Okay. Motion would be in order to close the hearing.
So
Open it up to the audience.
Oh, yeah, open it to the audience. I was looking at my audience. Do I have any comments in the audience?
No.
I'll ask you again. Do I have any comments?
One from you guys?
Two? Do I have any other questions or comments? Thank you. Okay. Motion is in order.
I move to close the hearing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to close the hearing. Any further discussion? Here none, I'll call for vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion opposed. Motion carries. Open public hearing, city council petition. 1025, Peter A. Compasso, Esquire, on behalf of 5 SAC Self-Storage Corporation. Request to amend section 2217, underlying districts, table uses of the Leominster zoning ordinance under the business use table of uses in the MU use 1, MU1 underlying zoning district, and change the self-storage facility from no, not allowed, to either yes, allowed by right, or special SPPB planning board special permit required. According to Leominster zoning ordinance, self-storage and categorized as a business use, but is only allowed in industrial zoning districts. Okay. Mr. Campobasso?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Peter Campobasso, 3 Park Street, Leominster, Mass. Right here on behalf of the petitioner for the petition before the city council. I have with me tonight Josh Alexander from Newhouse Self Storage and Anthony Cleaves from Haley Ward. The petition, if you recall, we came before the planning board earlier in the year when we started to discuss the petition. We presented some preliminary information at that time. Essentially, if you look at the table of uses as they're currently listed, self-storage is listed under the business uses section of the table of uses, but it's only allowed in an industrial zone. This particular parcel on Harvard Street was previously in an industrial zone. And then when the zoning amendment was changed in 2003, I believe, this particular portion where the old walk-in building is, that's all the MU1 district. and across the street where the shopping plaza is, that's the MU2 district. But there's still a portion to the right that goes to the town of Lancaster that's still in the industrial zone. The request seems to sort of correct what may have been either an unintentional oversight or just some disregard to how they were classifying the use. But essentially, the self-storage business is starting to change, it's starting to evolve. It's no longer just the old sort of those buildings that had the sort of garage doors where they were outside and they looked kind of unsightly, depending on how they were built. The storage, self-storage business is starting to get to more buildings. They look like big stores. It's predominantly climate-controlled interior units where people will store stuff if they don't have enough room in their basements or in their attics. And it's usually more residential users that are going to the site versus industrial or commercial users. And one of the things that's conflicting is one of the type of models that U-Haul uses, they're now moving into a U-Box business where it's more of the moving business where people will put their thing in those big containers.
Like quads.
They're put on, industrial, commercial trucks and they transport them, and then wherever they're moving to or from, so it's more of an industrial use, if you will. But the self-storage, the typical store where they sell boxes, tape, things of that nature, packaging supplies, in self-storage climate-controlled units would not be allowed on this particular site. So the request is to amend the table of uses to allow self-storage in the MU1 districts. There's about 6 other MU1 districts in the city. There's this one on Harvard Street. There's that section along Nashua and Hamilton Street.
Hamilton Street.
It's kind of dissected by that section where Crawford Street is, where the residential buildings are. So they really show it as 2 separate MU1 districts. There's another one off of Jungle Road,
Yeah.
which I don't know if anyone would ever utilize, but that's here nor there. So there are other districts where self-storage, may have a use. The other part of it is, before it was used, it appears to be a use that's allowed by right in an industrial zone. I put in the petition that it might make sense, but something like this is probably going to need site plan approval before the planning board. So if the board was inclined to recommend a special permit process, it would seem to make sense that the special permit would be issued by the planning board in conjunction with the site plan approval process.
And that way there we could control where it would go or not.
But in the industrial zone right now,
Right.
it's by right?
Yes.
In the industrial
Well, why can't we just make it, what's the,
Because it's not MU, a lot of the locations aren't industrial use, right?
Correct.
Right. The MU1 is not industrial.
Correct. When you read the purpose of the MU1 district, it was really a new district that was being created for some of the parcels that had already been in existence. It was predominantly industrial zone land where non-industrial uses started to crop up, whether it be commercial businesses, pre-existing non-conforming uses, whatever, abandoned buildings, and they were trying to put this whole sort of alphabet soup, if you will, for the MU1 districts to promote businesses, redevelopment of old industrial buildings that had been abandoned, and commercial uses. So it would seem to make sense that since this is a business use, if we want to define it as a business use, it would be allowed in a business district, which the MU1 district is. so. People storing their household goods in climate-controlled units doesn't really seem to be an industrial use, if you will. And that's
No.
really the main point.
But I think at the same time, what's it, Shirley Road exit off of Route 2, there's somebody that's in there. I just happened to go by there the other day. They got piles of trailers, they're not U-Haul, they're another company, but they're all,
Oh, you mean that's the Shirley exit?
yeah,
That's right across from the prison opening, is one of those pod businesses. It's
Yeah.
not pod, it's another business.
yeah, it's another company, I don't know, yeah.
Same type of,
I've
Same
been similar, I
idea.
don't know what it is, but they were all over the place. And I happened to look at it, it was quite unsightly, to tell you the truth.
I wonder if that's more of that, like we we're talking about, where that's not self-storage, where you can go in and get your stuff.
This is
That's-
not self-storage,
no,
this
it's
is a
not,
pod.
yeah.
That's
These are like the pods,
Yeah.
people loaded stuff into
You
it.
wouldn't have access to that.
Until they
Yeah.
move, they
It's
don't,
a warehouse,
that
it's like,
stays.
it's like an exterior warehouse.
Yeah, but see, with all this new stuff is all being defined. This is all new, and we're trying to define it, and that's similar as self-storage. So how do I define that self-storage and, I'm gonna say accessible self-storage,
Right.
for lack of another word,
I think that
the two, and
it would probably make sense
they'd
to
be
define,
different, yeah.
to better define self-storage as it's defined presently in the bylaw.
Well, yeah, it's a.
It's currently
self-storage.
defined as a building or group of buildings consistent of separate, self-contained units leased to individuals, organization, or business for self-service storage of personal property.
Yeah.
So to your point, it might make some sense to consider amending the definition so that it's more along a building with,
That's what I'm thinking,
climate
is
control.
defining a definition. And the other thing is just saying, a building, is this a large building? Is this a 1, 2, or 3-story building? It's something, I don't know anything what you're thinking about
They-
there.
They could, in the submission we had earlier in the year, the buildings could be anywhere from 3 to 5 stories high.
Okay,
Did you bring a plan forward?
You did?
Yeah.
There was like a concept with a
Yeah.
layout,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry I missed that meeting.
Did you?
Yeah,
I'll forward it to you if you want.
Your
yeah,
plan to expand across the street to where the barn is,
Yeah.
The
right?
doggy daycare,
Yeah.
the old doggy daycare.
That's the building, yeah.
I've seen some of these buildings, they're kind of stark in nature. Are there any architectural features that you can put on this to make it look like a,
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
No,
we
just
get, we
a
have
lot
to change
will
the
be on
zoning
the scope of
before.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
well, I'm trying to see is, the definitions
I've
of what's
seen a lot of
going,
storage buildings that are quite
I'm-
attractive.
I'm-
yeah,
Drive
So-
down Florida, you
To
know,
get back to your point on
Boston.
the self-storage definition, I get that point, it does make sense. I wonder if that's something to add to this, where you add to that self-storage something that says, the self-storage facility, meaning that the persons have outside access to that, like write it how you will, but it's
Yes.
it's accessible by the public. That's the differentiation between that and the U-Box or those pods, is you as the public, you can't go get your stuff. You have to call the company and have your box delivered to your house.
exactly.
That's the major distinction.
And they're calling it, and that's where I'm having a problem is the definition.
I think very simply, we could just add to self-storage, so that self-storage is accessible by the people, let's say, leasing the units.
By the leases.
Yeah.
But then what's the definition of the other things?
Warehouse, storage.
I mean, self-storage is like a warehouse.
I mean, it's warehouse. I mean, you're just storing goods.
Little ones.
No, but they're gonna-
Are there gonna be garages on that side or just the building?
For the, so for this
Outside.
proposal, we're looking at just a large, you know,
Just a large building?
the big building, yeah, for a self-storage. So internal, so you would actually go into the building, accessing stairs or elevators to go down hallways to get to the units. Is the,
So this one is the interior access?
yeah, this particular proposal that we will hopefully eventually be able to come to you with, yeah, it's a standalone, one standalone large building, accessing units internally, as
Okay.
opposed to the rows of long, narrow buildings,
Like you have across.
like across the street, correct?
Right, Leonard Central Street.
Iron Village was.
Right. The old iron rooms. And that was an industrial zone?
Yeah, it's still, the one across the street still is, it still is industrial.
Yeah, I think that's,
This whole area was industrial, ESP locked all the way down.
That's right, it was.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then I think, as Peter was mentioning, when the zoning got updated,
Those are just a couple
that
of different
ESP lock
examples.
building, we
Not
went
that-
through a
Not
special
that that
permit
would be the
process with
building
the
that
city
would be on
council, I
Harvard
believe,
Street, but those are what the
to
typical.
convert that to a mixed-use commercial before mixed use actually existed. So it made sense that that be classified as mixed use. That just seemed to get carried all the way along that,
Yeah, look at that.
that south side of Harvard Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like a hotel.
It's just
A
unfortunate
hotel
that,
for your goods.
That's not the
The actual one.
the
Giving you an idea.
anticipated building, but those are just examples.
yeah, that's what somebody had commented to me, and I'm saying, this big stark building, and I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying is gonna have some architectural features that it looks halfway decent.
Yeah, it wouldn't look like a warehouse, let's put it that way. It
Yeah.
would look more like a building,
Because that's we wanted it to
professional
look
building
like,
that's gonna have some type of a retail space for a store, that's gonna sell the supplies to package and store goods.
okay. Yeah, this is,
but that's where, going through a site plan approval process as part
right,
of that.
And a special.
Gives them-
permit control.
And if you wanted to include a special permit, that gives the board
Yep.
that extra oversight on what things are looking like, how things are oriented.
well, I think some of the issues
Assuming we
that I,
can do it.
yeah, some of the issues I have is like the inconsistency that he started with, between commercial and the definition is in commercial, and then if it makes use and how that should be changed. That should be consistent, and then and how do we define,
Self-storage.
because mixed use, one, it's not just that location, and do we want to, is mixed use the right definition for that area?
Or for the MU1 district.
Yeah. Okay, because I'm not sure, and I haven't done the study, I'm not sure, because when I look at, we mentioned Hamilton Street, is this would be a fit for Hamilton Street also? Because if I make the change for there, it has to be the change for wherever
Yep.
mixed use is, okay? So that's the thing that I want to think of, that what we do in one place is good for other places
Correct.
and acceptable for development.
I think what was interesting, I thought, when I was going through the table of uses, and the majority of the uses that were allowed in the industrial were also allowed in mixed-use one. It was very few, it seemed like, that weren't. And self-storage was one of them. So, you go through, look at the business uses, which again, this is what self-storage is listed. Professional offices, vocational training, it's the same, they're both health clubs, home office, everything that was allowed in industrial was also allowed in mixed use. There were a few
Yeah.
that actually, got at, like bank isn't allowed in industrial, but it is in the mixed use. So there were very few that weren't, which was like body shop, makes sense, auto salvage, junkyards.
Yeah.
Which are great businesses, and they're really a necessity.
We don't want no body
And
shop.
the other, but see, in my opinion, I mean, I don't know why it shouldn't be allowed by right. I'm reading under the purpose of multi-use district, MU1, purpose, provide for the coordinated and mixed development of institutional, business, and/or industrial uses to encourage adaptive reuse of abandoned, vacant, or underutilized business or manufacturing businesses, buildings, or structures on industrially zoned land or land previously used for an industrial use. And I know that wasn't that building, but
Well, they're not utilizing that building, tearing it down.
Yeah, tearing it down.
But, I mean, those are two separate statements too.
See, the mixed use was an attempt back 30 years ago, 22. We had a lot of empty buildings,
Control it with the special
and
permit.
it will allow
I know,
people to take
right,
and
it would be easy. if-
rebuild those, rework them, and we were,
by right.
and it did that.
Right.
But sometimes
Okay,
it doesn't
so
fit.
there are quite a few buildings in the city that have been rehabbed and made into very nice buildings, and old factories. So I think that's where we get the mix-up is, you get the industrial, because that's what it was originally. We had to take that industrial and make a change to that to allow people to change that industrial to a better use. Okay, because we knew that building would not be used for industrial again, but for other uses. And that's happened in half a dozen different places in the city. This one's a little bit different, where we're gonna take, it's industrial, so we're gonna take down the old building and come into something new. Okay? Not a big deal, but I understand. But we also opens us up to other places in the city that may not, and maybe that's what we're gonna look at.
Right, and if I can, just sorry to interrupt, but again, self-storage is not an industrial use.
Right.
It's very clearly it's not. Now, like with any project that requires site plan review, that's when you have the opportunity to look and see, how does it fit? Do you need additional screening, some fencing, landscaping? I think that's where the planning board has that authority to look at non-residential projects. Now you have that ability to condition them as you see fit, to make sure that it does fit with the area.
Yeah, it could be conditioned in different areas too. I'm saying, in one area, mixed use one, a 4-story building might fit. I'm just picking a number, okay? And in another area, it would be totally out of place.
But that's separate.
And
Now you're
that,
talking
but that's
zone.
not, my problem is that how do I define that? Because that's not in my site plan purview,
So
or
that's why,
special permit purview.
and my point is, that's why I had mentioned that it might make sense. It would probably be difficult to define unless you want to have multiple definitions of self-storage.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
We probably could have one or two definitions, but it might, I mean, it would make sense that it would probably be allowed as a use by right, but it might make sense because we have other districts to consider making it a special permit, so that in addition to the control you have with site plan approval, you have special permit. So,
But I mean, like getting back to the height, regardless of the use, the MU1 district allows for 70 feet height and 4 stories. So
Right.
whether it's a bank or a self-storage or whatever,
Right.
I think it's, the discussion is the self-storage use really an industrial use that should not be allowed?
Yeah.
And mixed use, is
Well-
it more detrimental than a bank?
I'll agree, there's an anomaly there.
yeah,
Right, it just
And-
seemed
and
like.
How to correct it, I'm not, at this point, I'm not sure. We're gathering information and,
Yeah, I think that, like I was proposing, it seemed like self-storage was also a viable use for mixed-use one, and it was just an omission for whatever reason, where many of the other
Yeah.
uses in industrial were carried forward into mixed-use one,
yeah.
except for a
What's
handful.
happened, the self-storage, I think the only self-storage we knew that we had active at the time is what we have on Central Street today. And there was nothing else in the city, and
Yeah.
most everybody, that's what's happened, has changed. I do go to Florida and I've seen the, the storage units that they put up there now. And, some of them are nice and some are terrible.
But you're seeing
Okay.
most of them in business areas.
Yeah, and, where they put them, so.
Most of the ones are terrible at 30 years old.
No, these are,
Those are the ugly ones. The new ones,
they seem to be doing
I
better,
like that.
yeah. Okay,
So right now,
So-
in MU1, they're not allowed.
No,
no,
Isn't it
they're
just
only allowed in
Self-
industrial.
enough to
It's
put
only allowed in
special
industrial.
permits
So,
on?
I guess what's our objective tonight? Are we,
To make a recommendation to city council,
so,
that
to
they,
referral
that they
from
put
city
take the
council.
N out and put special permit planning board? Is that-
or site, or both,
plan
why can't we
approval.
do special
GAs.
permit, planning board and special permit?
Yeah,
Right.
and then you control it, and you control what district it makes sense for when
As
it comes
opposed to
to,
yes.
As opposed to just yes.
yeah, SP.
I mean,
Which
that-
I,
that
which
use
I would
right there,
prefer,
I would
but,
prefer-
To me, it's perfect. I mean,
Again, I'm not sure
It's a
why
good use for
yes
that
isn't.
spot.
I mean, I'll go with the group.
well, I think, well, John's concern is that
It doesn't fit in some of the
it may not
other
fit in
MU1.
another
Right.
MU1 area,
yeah,
zoned area in the city.
see, that one might fit, but I'd have to look at the others, I don't know.
So
where-
let's put, I mean,
I mean, I'll go with the group.
well, and the applicant would be satisfied with that.
Fine.
And it would make sense to control it in the districts.
But we'd have to, okay.
Unless we,
I'd like to,
Do you think there's gonna be this rush of self-storage?
I don't know,
No, no,
I
no,
don't,
no.
You
but,
want districts, I think, we're not worried about control?
can't we look at the other MU1 districts prior to,
Can we
if we put
continue
special
it?
permit
No,
planning board, we
there's
can
no
call
reason to
everyone.
continue.
That's
I don't
right.
think we need to
That's right.
continue. I think
All
they
we have to
want,
do is put
I
special
want this
permit.
done.
Plus
If
site plan
it'll
approval.
satisfy
I
all
agree.
sides, I'll go
Yep.
with the special.
yeah, works. It's a solution. SPPB and SP/SPA.
I guess so, yeah, I still prefer
Wait.
Y, but if it's gonna get,
I also prefer Y. I mean,
Right.
where are the rest of you?
I'd wanna see the control, because if I just put Y, it could be, there are many places, it could be any place in the city that makes use one. And if we could put special, I'd at least go special permit planning board, and then site plan. And it gives us control on it.
okay,
So we're gonna make a recommendation to the city council.
yeah, we have to close this hearing first.
Motion to close.
Second.
Uh,
No, wait a minute. We didn't
Oh,
have
they-
any,
Yeah,
of course,
They spoke. Anybody else
all
know?
along.
May I speak to?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Joseph Boyle, Montechusett Regional Planning Commission. This point that has been raised in the discussion about special permits and the flexibility it gives to the board is an important one. Special permits are often looked at as a way that the planning board can use its authority to make sure that the development is in a certain location is being done the way that they want. I urge you to also embrace your authority to use the special permit to decide on locations, to decide that this use is right in one area in the zoning district and not. That is a perfectly appropriate, lawful, and desirable use of a board special permit authority. And I bring this up because I expect to be before you for additional zoning amendments in which this point will be relevant. Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Should we move?
We're just gonna close the hearing, right? We're not discussing.
Yeah, no, I just got, my question is, we got it listed, do we put it,
Just change the use underneath the, where is it? I just saw it.
No, you close the hearing, and then when we
That's
get
right.
to the item, you can make a
That's
recommendation
right.
of whatever you want it to be.
It's true.
yeah, because we got
Now,
a,
we didn't have a self-storage even use
It was in it.
2 years ago, right, 3 years before.
oh, yeah, we can.
No, we did.
Had it
No,
since
we-
before I was here.
Yeah.
You know?
The self-storage facility?
Yeah, it's been there
We
for a
didn't
while.
we didn't
Oh, yeah.
have it in the table, I know we had to change it, maybe it was longer than I thought.
Well, I didn't know
Wasn't
if we
during my
wanted to
tenure,
move
it's
it.
6 years.
6 years.
I guess it doesn't make much difference whether we leave it in business, industrial, because we define the location.
I mean, you do the same with the warehouse.
Yeah.
PPP,
Warehouse is really the same thing.
That was my only thing, yeah. Okay, I think that would be my recommendation to special permit, planning board, no site plan approval.
So I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Motion made and second to close the hearing. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
5.1, you're good.
Yeah, that was my.
Now you can have a motion.
Oh, there it is. But there's too many papers here.
Oh, yeah. 5.1 is very good.
5.1, yeah. Okay, city council petition. On 5 point.
No,
Proposed subdivision amendment.
We heard it.
We did, 5.2.
5.2.
we closed it, we didn't vote on it.
We didn't vote on it.
5.1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we didn't vote on it.
Oh.
Oh, on the new business, there we go. I'm jumping around, okay. Proposed subdivision amendment. The planning board can have a registered engineer of their choosing for their estimates. Okay.
I make a motion to adopt the amendment as drafted.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded to adopt the amendment. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 5.2. City council petition. 1025 Peter A. Campabazzo Esquire on behalf of 5 Stacy Self-Service Corporation. Request to amend section 2217 underlying districts, table uses, the Leominster zoning ordinance under the business use table use, multi-use 1, MU1 underlying zoning district change self-storage facility to, from no, not allowed to the Y or right SPPB. Plan board special permit required. Well, this need a definite, this would need a specific motion.
What,
And
we
then-
don't talk about any site plan approval in this?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to, Sal.
Oh, okay.
What I'm saying is, the motion would be in order to accept this amendment.
Make a
the-
recommendation to
the
city
amendment
council.
recommended to be a special permit, okay, a special permit planning board with site plan approval,
So moved.
Second.
okay? Motion made and seconded, the recommendation of city council, it would be changed to special permit planning board, site plan approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much for your time.
Good job.
Good luck. We'll,
See you soon, hopefully.
We'll see you again.
you'll be back. I think,
6.3.
6.3.
I think one more thing is, we did this. I'd still like to, Elizabeth, take a look at this and it's a recommendation if we could do a site of some walk to look at how other MU1 districts might be affected. Okay?
Do a
Just as
sidewalk?
as a site, yeah, as a,
Yeah.
to see if, we're recommending it to the city council, but I'm still not sure 100% that there aren't some MU1 areas
Yeah.
that we'd have some issues. And I'd like to be able
Yes,
to
yes.
look at that and have an
That's
additional
where-
recommendation.
So you wanna look at all the MU1 areas
Is
in
it
town?
MU1?
Yeah, and what would be the, how this mixed use would affect
Okay, you're
it.
gonna do some site walks with me?
Yes,
I'll do it, I'll go too.
Dean will go?
okay? So that we will,
Like driving.
and, because we can make an additional, we've made this recommendation,
Oh, you're
but
saying
we also
that's
can make the
that's-
recommendation later to the city council at their hearing if we find there
This was,
are there any
maybe we
issues.
can go to the meeting for city council
Right,
attend it and make comment.
that's correct. Okay, so it's not final, but I'd still have a little, you know, call it a comfort zone, just not knowing where everything is and it, you know, if it would fit. I'd just like to take a little trip. Road trip's always good once in a while.
Battery storage?
Just make a
6
list
point-
of the
No,
cars,
he's
so
talking about MU1.
Yeah, I'll have to make a list of addresses.
addresses, give them to all of us, and I'll just take a ride. Or go.
Okay, good. Communication, site plan application.
No, 6.3.
We did that 6.2.
6.3.
Ready to six.
Yeah, 6.3. Zoning amendment, amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to dimensional requirements for Residence B, Residence C District's petition 525 was denied 10/28/24 by the City Council. This is a re-update and changes, plan to vote whether to. We made the changes to the City Council. Evidently, they thought they were, I don't know,
Substantial.
substantial changes. So they turned down the zoning.
A second time?
The first time. But my question is, and I don't know, my understanding, if a zone or a request of City Council, did they give us leave to withdraw without prejudice?
No,
They
they just denied it.
Then we can't bring this up for 2 years.
That's right.
So what are we talking about?
We can't.
Even if it's different,
We would have to be substantially different.
they think it is.
No, the difference is what? Substantially different than what we gave them. They gave us an amendment. Okay? We looked at that amendment. Or we gave them an amendment. They gave it back. We looked at it and said, we want to make changes. The changes we made went back to them. They thought those changes were substantially different.
Oh, this was from.
Because they didn't, that's why they didn't vote on this. So then they took and they denied it. My question is, did they just deny it or they give us leave to withdraw? If they denied it, then we can't bring, we would have to come back with a different petition or rewrite it somehow. I can't, okay, not give them back what we gave them in our original change. Basically, we want to get back to the original change. So we're in a position, and I don't know if they gave us, denied it, or gave us leave to withdraw. If they give us leave to withdraw, then we can bring back the same one.
Says
If they
denied.
denied it, I get 2 years.
It says denied.
It was denied.
It was denied,
Yes.
So they didn't say with
So-
prejudice?
so I
I
think,
didn't say without prejudice.
so I think we're under,
We gotta hold
the,
on
the,
for 2 years.
the 2 year thing comes into play.
Okay.
Well, can't you just resubmit a new proposal?
No, because
It's the
it's,
same thing.
it's the same thing.
It's as if this board had denied a site plan with prejudice, or had denied a special permit application, did not grant leave to withdraw without prejudice, and somebody came back in with an application that was the same project.
Yeah,
All right, so
Okay,
it
so
was
what-
denied.
do we have
10/28,
anything?
26.
it was denied, so we can't bring it forward.
Move on.
Okay, now,
I'm afraid to.
Elizabeth, in this regard, okay? Go back and talk to, we might have to talk to Mark, okay? A member of the city council on the prevailing vote per Robert's Rules of Order, okay, can change the vote, ask for a vote to change it. So they could change it from denied to withdraw, but they have to do it. So what we can do is, and that would have to be Mark, because he's chairman of the city council. Okay, maybe we want to talk to him and see what they want to do. And if they would do that,
You mean change the vote to withdraw without prejudice?
Yeah.
exactly, to change the vote. And then we can move forward.
Okay, well.
Mr. Chair,
It's a procedural thing, I know. Yeah, go ahead.
the point I was about to make is that I do not believe that the city council's response, or a majority of the city council's response, is based entirely on procedural objections, but rather substantive objections. I feel strongly that I'm being waved off from the RB and RC districts, that attempting to make zoning changes in the residential districts is going to be a very heavy lift and a lengthy and difficult process without high confidence of success. I'm working here on taxpayer money on a grant that is not unlimited. And I think there are more productive and more promising avenues for making zoning amendments to promote housing in the city that we would have a better chance with, particularly focusing not on the residential RV and the RC districts, but on allowing and promoting more and more intensive residential development within commercial and mixed-use districts.
I don't disagree with you, okay? But at that meeting, there was little or no discussion, okay? And I don't know, and that's what leads me to question, was it a procedural thing? They just didn't want to do it? I don't know, because there really wasn't much discussion on the merits of what we were trying to do.
They focused on procedures, but that might not be the
Yeah,
underlying
Reason.
sentiment.
that's right, and then.
Joe, I hear what you're saying.
What's that?
I hear what he's saying. you know.
Yeah. So
When
I
it goes away, he goes away, and everything remains the same.
And if the proponent of the,
And he'd rather put his time,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
success
that's
rate is
worthwhile,
high.
then let's drop
So I
it.
mean,
Which, you're
at
right,
this
would be
point,
commercial, I think that would make a lot of sense.
you know, so, I mean, there's so much going on with this housing thing.
Yeah.
We got the MBTA properties that we gotta deal with, and we're under the gun for that now, I understand.
Yes, that's definitely a
So-
time frame for that.
So maybe we don't do anything with this. We let the sleeping dog lie and just move on.
That
And,
would be the way you'd see it, too. Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Is that the direction from the board?
For now.
So, yeah, I mean, what else, I mean, if that's, I mean, he's working for us, really, to try to see what he can do for, other zones. And if he thinks that his best success rate will be to try to work into those other zones, like he said, he's on a limit.
Yeah, we've got the MU2 coming up, and we had a lot of changes there. And that's a big area for a lot of housing. We have a developer that wants to do housing in the MU2 zone.
Yeah.
So, focus on that.
So do we need a
At a
motion
time spent.
for this?
No.
No, this is just
It's
a,
just denied.
This is communication. This is what the
It's
board,
just
the board has to
communication.
decide what to do.
so we'll just move on.
Receive.
We're just gonna let
At
it
this time.
die.
Elizabeth, you could get a definition on whether, make sure it was denied or,
You just talk to Mark and see
right,
how his feelings are.
right. Keep it in information.
Okay.
City council petition 1525, amend the zoning ordinance
How'd that work?
returning to MU2 zoning. Planning board to schedule for public hearing.
This would be for 12-2.
12-2?
12-2, good, I'll be,
At 6:30.
all right, that works. for me.
12-2 at 6:30.
So,
So two?
You're just
Okay.
handling it.
I have a motion made and seconded for city council petition 15-25 Okay, to 12/2 at 6:30.
Then I can advertise for that.
Right.
Excellent.
Uh,
This is this is the type of thing I was talking about. I think that we can make real progress towards advancing the housing situation.
Yeah,
Good, thanks, Joe.
thank you.
Thank you.
Definitive subdivision modification received on 7/31/24 Summit Estates for map 423-3 parcels 11-33. The planning board original request was to make determination if deemed minor or major modification and then vote accordingly. Planning board vote to continue the communication on 8/19/24 and 9/16/24, 10/7/24, and 10/21/24.
It should say 24.
24. The board to discuss next steps and vote on applicant's application for modification and for applicable.
All right, I got notice from Amy Questle, our legal counsel, that she's still sorting through all of the information and does not have a determination ready for the board yet.
Okay.
And we have a representative here from the subdivision. I don't know.
I'm gonna request that the board vote on it either way. The legal question before Copeland and Page has nothing to do with whether that's a major or minor modification. It's about zoning. She's reviewing zoning, whether zoning is grandfathered or not. Now, let's say zoning isn't grandfathered. The subdivision remains the same, but the lot lines would change to conform to zoning.
Right.
So instead of being 24 lots, they might be 20. But there's no reason we can't vote on whether that's a minor or major modification, or whether it's just the de minimis change gets picked up when you submit your engineered drawings.
Minor modification, you came in, it came in as a request for a minor, and
I didn't
Yeah,
request
You
it.
have an
I
application.
didn't request it.
we have an
You
application.
have an application that you
We have an
submitted.
application for a minor modification.
You
Okay?
requested that I did that, and I complied.
No.
Yes, your
I'm not
agent asked me to do that, and I complied.
Yes, we did. We
Yes,
asked
you
you
Okay.
to.
You asked me to do that, and I complied.
And
Because
then
the
what-
building inspector had sent a letter saying that he was concerned about zoning, that he later recanted and said he was no longer concerned about zoning. So the whole thing is a moot point. We're wasting each other's time, and I'm going back to Florida. I won't be here when you get your legal stuff, and that's gonna sit for a year on the table, and that's gonna be delayed again. So there's no reason we can't vote if that's a minor modification.
But I think the question is, now, is whether it's a subdivision.
There's no question about what's a subdivision, that's not what she said. She said she's reviewing zoning. She even said to this board,
No.
I don't think you can rescind that knowing all the infrastructure's in. And the board said, we're not looking to rescind it. That was her comment. I was sitting right here. This is a question of whether it's a minor modification.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I was here for the meeting. That's what she said.
I heard it. Yeah. Actually,
This is not a matter whether subdivision is being rescinded. It's a matter of if the zoning is grandfathered, that allows you to have the total 23 lots.
And
And that's a zoning issue.
that's a zoning issue.
But we can go
Yeah,
forward and let them
We
resolve that.
we have a letter, okay, from the building inspector that said that it's dead.
But he rescinded that letter.
He did.
Yeah, he
rescinded
rescinded
the
that
letter.
one.
we did
yeah.
talk about
He
it.
said it was a mistake. He said I was wrong, I didn't know all the facts.
Yeah.
I rescinded the letter. That was the reason I came here, was because of that letter. He then rescinded the letter.
He's right.
What, can you remind me, because we've had so much, what's your proposed modification to the plan?
So they asked me to include storm scepters in the drainage basins, which is merely the installation of a plastic curtain that swirls and retains the water, it slows it down. Now, we submit to you as-built drawings when the project's completed, which will show the storm scepters. So it's almost a de minimis change. It's a very minor
It
modification.
does seem minor to me.
It's extremely minor.
Yeah.
And there's no harm in doing
And,
that.
yeah, because what's worst case, the lots
get a
are
legal
smaller,
opinion.
Yes,
so
that's the
that
worst
means there's
case.
less lots.
That's the worst case,
Well,
is there's less lots.
Well, no, we try to go to small lots
No,
anyway.
I appreciate that. I just think we can get this off dead center, not bother the planning board, and let the lawyers do their legal stuff. It's gonna take years.
I agree.
Well, that's why I'm getting confused with the lawyers.
Yes,
And all the, everything we have, everything given to us is that a subdivision, and it's not clear, has 2 years or 3 years, and then the state extended it 2 more years, then extended 2 more years, but they say subdivision.
But none of that will
but
matter.
none of that is relevant to this
But
case.
that would say whether
This isn't
subdivision
relevant.
is viable or
We're
not.
talking about zoning on this, only
That's right.
zoning,
Okay.
that's all we're talking about.
If the lawyer comes back and says there are other issues, we can address the issues. It won't
Exactly.
change whether this is a major or
That's
minor
right.
modification.
No.
And it seems very minor, so.
Well,
why don't we
no, I
get it off
agree, it's
the
a minor,
plate and
I
go?
remember the storm scepters are, and when we discussed it, the storm scepters are a minor modification.
So I would ask the board to vote on that.
I make
Okay.
a motion,
Isn't the storm
I make a
scepter
motion
something
that it's a minor
new?
modification.
Yeah, that's new. That's
I will
part of
second
the.
that.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second.
So I have a motion made and second that the storm scepters are in fact a minor modification. Okay,
Bang.
any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Because we
Now
had.
that, I don't know about the others.
Other something comes up, we
You don't have to do
At least
that.
that resolves that, right?
Yeah, all that other stuff is separate stuff.
Exactly.
So we don't
You're raising your
even
hand?
bring it in.
Did you have any damage?
Whatever.
Oh, yes.
Can we do,
Did you?
But you can't, you
Looks like the
voted,
storm came right over
hold
you.
on, you're not
Two
done yet.
offices, two cars, two
You
jet skis
voted
and a
to
boat.
I
deem
looked
it
at
a
the-
minor
I looked at the map.
modification, you have to vote on the changes.
The hurricane went over his house.
Paul
Right,
says
I
he's
make a-
waiting for
Dead over it.
attorney.
You just wanna deem it
Yeah.
a minor, but you don't wanna make a determination as to approve it or not.
Until we hear back from the attorney about the zoning stuff.
Okay.
So that's-
So it's
At least-
deemed
So it's
minor,
a
but it's
modification.
not.
We know it is a
The
minor
minor
modification.
modification.
That's resolved.
he doesn't have to,
That's
he
right.
doesn't have to,
He doesn't have to.
And now we wait for the lawyers to
That's
figure out the
right.
rest.
It allows me to continue construction, keep
100%.
people working, that's what I'm trying to
Yep,
do.
I
Right.
agree.
All good?
Have a nice one.
Did we have a motion to vote
Leave it on the agenda.
We already,
Okay.
we already
Wait,
voted.
did we vote on it yet?
Yeah, we did.
we voted
You
that it
deemed it, but
was, we
you
only
didn't-
voted that it was a minor modification.
Minor
Well, let me ask
modification.
Mr. Exares, we only voted that it was a minor modification. Can you proceed with just that, or that you want us to vote that, to approve the minor modification? Two different things.
Well, I think you'd have to vote to approve it,
Yeah.
to continue with the construction.
So a motion to approve the
Second.
modification.
Okay.
Okay,
So we
second.
cover all.
Motion made and seconded to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you.
You're all set.
I have one more small item.
Yeah, six,
Mary Avenue's on the agenda.
okay.
We're not there
Okay.
yet, Chair's reading.
Mary Avenue definitive subdivision, claimed to provide update to board.
Okay, I consulted with DPW on this, and I got an email from John Roseberry stating that he did an inspection of Mary Avenue, and it appears the only item that's done on the engineer's checklist is the underground electrical. And although it's difficult to say if enough has been installed, the light pole has not been installed. So what I can do is see how much the cost of that is in the estimate and reduce that from the amount. And then the bond amount will be for the reduction of whatever that is.
Correct.
Right. So we'll have to get that and then we'll determine
And then
the
we'll
bond.
respond and we'll begin to build those three houses.
Right.
No, no problem.
As long as the board agrees, that's fine.
Yeah,
Where do you stand on your time on that?
Your time, what do you mean?
On your time limit, all subdivisions
He has an
have,
extension on
You
that.
gave me an extension?
you got an extension?
Yes, last meeting gave me an extension.
I just wanted to verify that.
Thank you.
Don't
You
remember all
got
the
the letter
time.
in, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think all the people.
Yeah, you have an extension.
Yes, we have an extension, thank you.
We're all set then.
Yes, thank you for the extension, and thank you for the vote. Have a
Sure.
great night.
Good luck.
Take care.
Take care, bye-bye.
You're up.
Motion to adjourn?
No,
No,
director.
director. With director's report.
I
can't
have my agenda in front of me.
It's said done.
I
Oh,
can't agree.
jeez.
The flood firms that they've been promising, they're pretty sure about now. They said December or January, so when they come out, we need to update our regulations. And I already have a draft ordinance from the state where we need to change our ordinance on that. So when that comes through, I'll bring it forward to the board and you can petition city council with that. Not on the agenda, but also, just of note, I'm attending the SNEPA conference on Thursday and Friday in Springfield, the planning
careful.
conference for Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. And if I find anything really good, I'll bring it back and share with you.
Great.
Careful, you.
I'm parking in the parking garage at the hotel.
At the Sheridan?
At the Sheridan Monarch?
You don't need to say where you're staying.
It's a big place.
Okay,
Okay.
motion to adjourn.
And the motion-
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carried.